Yeah, welcome to NGigo unscripted version. This is a Saturday version, like I keep saying. The only NGigo sessions that do not happen in the night. Yeah, this happens in the morning. So it's a Saturday. We are here. I can see Inas. Inas, welcome back from the 3-day holiday. From midterms, right? Inas, yeah, welcome back from midterms. You, the day we were sharing the what do you call it, ice cream and those things, you didn't come, and today we don't even have water, then you have come. So that is it, right? So what we're going to do is that we've gone through the literature search. We've gone through at least 2 of the bibliographic softwares, the 8s. Now the question is that I found the literature in all the topics that I want. I've downloaded a PDF, as you said. I have also gotten the reference library. Now the question is, how do I write? And this is one of the biggest questions in thesis writing. How do I write? And this is where majority of the people are not getting it right. Now, it doesn't matter how good you do the research work. Even if it's a novelty that is going to change the whole world, if it is not written properly, 100% of the time it will not get published. So the writing aspect is one of the most important aspects of the thesis. In actual fact, the whole thing is about thesis writing. So we're going to go through a few tricks that I use. Other people have better ways of doing this. Later we are able to get some of them here. They can show us the way they do this. I am not sure I am a very good writer, but so I'll show you the small things that I've been using. When we have our other colleagues here, they also show you how they do it. There are some do's and then the don'ts. The don'ts are even the most important things. So we'll go through those don'ts so that you don't fall a prey to when you are writing out. But again, like I keep telling you, it's constant practice, and that is the only way that can get you right. So we'll go through writing. So you have all your PDFs in one folder. 200 articles, 100 articles, or whatever. What do you do with them? Right, this is how I do mine. When I pick a topic and then I search on it, and I get my PDFs, articles, and then I get all the references done, or even if not all, the ones that as I'm searching, the ones that I can get them, I just download their citation from the website. But the one I don't have, I don't bother to do that initially, because in 100% of the cases, not all the articles that I've downloaded that I will use. So I don't need everybody's reference in my library anyway. Whilst I'm writing, if there's a need to pick the reference, I will just pick it up. Yeah, that is what I do. I don't have time sometimes. So, right. So this is what then I do. After that, then I have to start reading. You for read. Okay? You for read. If you don't read, there's no way you can write. So you have to read. So for example, if I pick up this document and then I start reading it. Okay, let's say I've picked up this article. This was one of the articles that we downloaded yesterday. Yesterday we were not downloaded with specific what do you call topic in mind. We were changing in order to get variety. So let's say that we are writing something on hypertension, and then I pick something like this and I start to read them. Now there are various ways that people pick up things. You will not actually pick up the whole reference, what do you call it, article as a whole, this then put it in your thesis or something. But there are snippets of information that you may get from every part of the article, from the abstract down to the discussion. most often than not, people don't read discussion when they want to write things. But I can tell you that it is rather the discussion that most of the things found themselves in, because that's where they explain their results. People don't bother to read people's results when they are writing articles. But if you read people's results, that is the easiest way to pick up information, synthesize the information, and use it to write. So, for example, you are looking at something on hypertension. And this particular publication is on prevalence of hypertension. In actual fact, the results of this particular article will be found in the results section, isn't it? Yes. So it is this particular article, whatever he did and the results he got will be found in his results. So if you want to find out what he got as far as his results is concerned, you need to read his results and then find out what he got. So what I do is that some people do what they call annotation. Whilst they are reading the actual document, when they find something that they like, they can either highlight it or make a note with it. In fact, with Faucet Phantom, you can do those things. When you finish and you save, those things will be seen there. So let's say that maybe this is where his interest has come. The person will just highlight that particular place where the interest is, and then just go and then use any of the highlighter to just highlight that particular place. That's not what I do anyway. Some of them will want to write notes on that place, so you want to insert a note at that particular point. So maybe from here to here, you want to insert a note. You will just come to that side and then just write the note on it. Okay, so maybe this place you will say introduction parts or something, just some small notes. Then he keep going. So he annotates and then write things on it like that whilst he's reading. So he knows when he come back later on and pick that document, he knows where the points are actually. It's a very good way of doing it, yes. But then for me, it means you have to come back to all the documents that you have read again in order to find out all the comments that you have made on those places and stuff and things like that. Some people does that and it works for them, but I don't do that actually. I'm a very lazy person, so if I spend time reading something, I want it to count. So I don't want to come back and read anything again. So what I do is that instead of rather seeing something at some place and then annotating it or something, what I'll do is that I'll rather copy it. So anytime I see anything that I'm interested in on any of the articles, I'll copy it and then create a word sheet and then put that word, whatever I've copied, on that word sheet. Now, normally I have a funny name for that thing, I don't know. I call it trash. So if I'm writing introduction, I call it introduction trash. So what I do is that as I flip reading through those articles one after the other, if I meet anything that I'm interested in, I copy that and send it to my trash. I copy that and send it to my trash. So I built a big Word document, whether 2-page or 3-page or whatever. But they are of what? Snippets of what? Information from different articles that I've actually read. So after I've finished with that, I'll now come onto the trash. Open the trash. Then through the reading of the small information that I'm there, I try to put together whichever write-up that I'm doing. Whilst I'm on that trash, if I find out that there is something that I need, nothing prevents me to go search that thing and come and then put it in there. But what happens is that it provides one big framework for me, so that I don't have to be going back and coming. It's like a one-stop shop. All the information that I need, at least not all, majority of the information that I need to write that is are there. Sometimes when I put something there, I will indicate give me a small note on it. Now the difficulty is that if you read 5, 10, 8, 20 articles and you have cut things from inside and put it in your trash, what happens is that when you come back and you are writing on the trash, what shows that this one is coming from here or this one is coming from here? That is where your end notes and then your medley, your reference managers come in handy. So what you do is that as soon as you copy something from this document and send it to the trash, you insert the reference against it. So if I copy anything from any of these places, I put it inside there. I just go straight away and then insert the reference at that place. So let's just do it like I'm saying. So let's say that I have this document, just like we were doing with the demonstration. Let's say this is my trash that I want to use for this document. I'm not reading in particular. So let's say that this part of the this document that I'm interested in, so I've picked this particular part like this. I'll just send it onto my trash sheet. What do? I just insert it here. So when I come here, normally I'll just put them together. I just to save space, I will do this. But I know where I pick this information from, isn't it? Where do I pick it from? I pick it from this guy, Mufada. So I just go onto my EndNote on the trash. I have a library for that already. So I just go to that place. I go to my EndNotes. Okay? And I know where that library is. So I just go to this one, open library. That was the Rush Trash library that we used, isn't it? Yeah, that is it. So Rush Trash library, this guy, that is what? Mufada. So all that I do is that I will just insert the citation for Mufada and then I move on. Okay, so I just done that and I move on.
Is what that if that idea is for Redu and Mufada adopted it?
No. What is your source? There's always a controversy about what to cite, whether the in-text or the one that you are reading. If I come here right now and tell you that Inas says that the university is closing down tomorrow, and then you, Della, it goes to Edem, and then you want to tell Edem that the university is closing down tomorrow, and Edem asks you, who told you? Who are you going to refer to? You're going to refer to me, because as far as you are concerned, I am your what? Your reference. Inas has not talked to you. But I was telling you that it was Inas that told me. But you can't go and say that Inas says this. Now, if you go and say it and they come and catch you right now, and you call Inas, Inas will simply say that where and when. Are you getting me? Yes. Now, the rule for referencing is that make sure that your reference is as close to the source as possible. Now, that word, close to the source as possible, means which one is your source? People will say, okay, then go and trace the in-text that you have found in somebody's work. Now, if you trace that in-text, you go and that person has also referenced another person. Then you keep going. When will you end for one reference? So my source is here. This is the document I'm reading. I'm not supposed to cite something that I'm not what? I'm not reading. For all you know, in most cases, we've tried this before. Chase that reference and see. You will go and the thing that they are attributing it to even that person is not even there. You might not even found it. So for you, wherever that you are finding your source is where you are what? Referencing. The word reference simple means that I'm saying something. I'm saying something I don't have authority to have said it from my mind. But I'm saying something that I've gotten from somebody. So I'm giving you the source, my source of that particular what? Information. So if you trace that source, you should be able to find the thing I'm talking about there. That is all. Yes.
Is where that already are cited in Vanda comes in.
Yeah, I've seen those kind of references, especially with those with the arts. Okay, especially with those in the arts. Mufanda are cited in what? In Oredu. But for most of the sciences, we don't have time. So we don't want you to tell us as cited by this or as cited by that. But I think with the arts, no, I'm not an art person, I'll attempt. In the arts, most of the things like, let's say, books or poetry or something, okay, so somebody's oration, another person have done it or something, so you may want to use it. But it's a certain referencing style. I've not seen it across in any of the sciences. Yes, but I must appreciate I've found it in most of the arts readings. Okay, so if your background allows you for some of those things, then fine. Then you may want to say it. The only other thing is that, for example, if some things are the original sources are known, then you may go for the original source. For example, you see people citing things about WHO, but in actual fact, the citation they are using is not a WHO. When people used to write with the Millennium Development Goal, okay, he will cite as Millennium Development Goal this, but the person he's citing is not the WHO. But we all know that the Millennium Development Goal is from what? WHO. So in that case, if it is a common knowledge or something like that, you want to cite some of those things and stuff. But you cite your what? Your source. You don't reference something you have not what? You have not seen. So don't go and copy somebody's in-text reference. Most people do that. It's wrong. So in actual fact, it's academic dishonesty. You are telling us something from somebody you have not read the document. You yourself don't know whether even a thing is there or not. So the same way, you are going to report that it was Inas that told you something when you have not come in contact with Inas. It is me that you heard the thing from. So who told you? Joy. So as far as you, Dela, you are concerned, I am your what? Your source. As far as I am concerned, what do you call it? Inas is what? My source. So that's why I said Inas said the school is going to close down what? Tomorrow. And I told you, Dela, this way. So if you, Dela, ask me, who told you? It was Inas. But if Adam asks you, Dela, who told you? It was not Inas. It was what? It was me. This is an argument that goes on and on and on and on, but I don't see the practicality of the chase, what do you call it, the reference style they keep talking about. I don't see the practicality of it. Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. Let's move on then. Good. So I was talking about how I create my trash. So I picked something from Mufada and I've just put it there. Why are you laughing? It is my trash, not rest trash. Okay, good. So let's continue. So let's say I come to this particular document too. Because of time, we will not waste too much time on that. Because of time, let's say I found something here. I'm interested in this one too. I've picked this one. I've just taken this. So you see people write articles and you see the numbers inside. In natural fact, what they are writing to the references that they are using, they are not using numbers. But because they just copy and dumped, you realize that the numbers and everything in that. In my trash, yes, I can tolerate the numbers. But when I come to try and write, I will not put the numbers and things in there. So those numbers are references for the guy I'm picking the things from. That's where he got his source from. But I'm reading it from what? From him. So he's the one that I'm going to cite. Yeah, if it is lying, it's on his head. It's a published document, so we expect that whatever he's saying there is that. So that is the Nolan guy. So in my trash, what I need to do is I just go to my trash quickly, and then I go to what? The Nolan guy. On the trash, I go to my endnotes, and then just insert the Nolan guy there. So where is he? Here he is. Okay. So I just insert the Nolan guy in there. If you take majority of students' work seriously, the references are incorrect, because most often than not they pick the in-text reference of other people. Other people, the reference does not exist at all. We all play around some of these things. I tell you a story of where you spell your name from the back, and then it becomes a reference. Yeah.
The numbering reference. Citation. You want to paraphrase, how are you going to go about it?
The numbering.
It will be difficult paraphrasing because with the numbering, for him, he has used numbering with regards to.
But you are not paraphrasing his reference.
No, but then you are paraphrasing his work.
His work.
He has used the numbering referencing in his work.
Yeah, his referencing does not matter.
So
if you can't trace to get the original
this thing, it is Nolan's work you saw this thing from. So if I come to paraphrase this one and put it in any language at all, I've not seen it this number 9. I've not seen it this number 3 guy. But my interest is in what? I got this information from what? From Nolan. So Nolan is the one that I cite. That is all that we are talking about.
So we go ahead and delete the number 3.
Yeah, I will paraphrase. This is my trash. I'm just putting the thing there. That's why I give it a very funny name. It's a trash. So I'm just putting the things there. I'm not writing. I just copy, so I don't bother myself formatting and taking things out. But the most important is that when I come and I want to use something from this place, I should know that I took it from what? Nolan's, the publication. That is why I'm putting the references there. So I keep putting them there like that, and I generate what? I generate a trash. So when I generate a trash, so because of time, let's quickly move on to some of the trash up. So, all right. So, for example, you see this one is a write-up trash. You realize I've cut a few things, put them on there, but for each of them there, I put the reference on it. So I know that this thing is coming from this place, this one is coming from this place, this one is coming from this place. So after you have taken this one, in actual fact, what I tell people is that if you are actually going to write an introduction of a certain subject, in actual fact, you don't need to be an expert in a subject to write an introduction or write a thesis in them. You just need to know the skill in to do that. So I want to write an introduction in malaria or something. What I will do is that I will take very related articles with malaria, and then I will start reading those articles, how the people wrote their introduction. Now, as you read those introductions, there are a few things that you should take into consideration. Now, look at the structure of the introduction. When I mean structure, look at where the person started and where the person ended. So you look at the structure of how the people write the thing. So you realize that they will be starting at a certain point and they will be ending at another place. So as you write, as you read through those people's introduction, you take cognizance of how they are starting it. So you realize one person's how he started, the point he started from, and the point he ended. The other one, where he started, where he ended. If you read 2, 3, 4 articles and you put down a few points together, you will also know, I want to start at this place. After that, I want to jump onto this, and after that, I want to jump onto this one. Now, there should be chronology in the thing that you are writing. There should be chronology in the things that you are writing. In actual fact, if you are describing facts and then they have locational importance, what we want you to do is that you describe the location so that we can follow. So maybe you will want to give us the worldwide view, and then after that you may want to narrow into Africa before you come to maybe West Africa and then to Ghana, since we are in Ghana. So you see people talking about, in terms of, let's say, prevalence, they will give you what exists worldwide and then give you what exists in Africa and then others. But what you should avoid doing is what I call the writing tourism. With some people, when they are writing and they don't state the prevalence in US, it's as if that the write-up is not complete. But the question is, what has the prevalence in US got to do with the work that you are doing? But because most of the things you are finding, the people who wrote it, because they are in US, that is why they are citing those prevalence. You find some people, they will go to, in Ethiopia it is this, in Canada it is that, in this. So by the time you finish reading the introduction, you are going around the whole world
with no visa.
With no visa. That is what I call the writing tourism. You don't see the head and tail of the information that is being given out. So there should be chronology in the thing that you are writing. We should be able to follow. It should flow. We should be able to follow what you are writing, okay, and make sense out of it. If it is facts that you are actually presenting, you may want to present the thing, the general aspect of it, before you narrow into the actual aspect that you are going to do. Because in most cases, when it comes to project, we are doing just something very small aspect of a bigger topic. So malaria is big. You are getting it. But which aspect of malaria are you dealing with? You are interested in the economic burden of what? Malaria. So you may start by telling us what malaria is. And you don't overindulge in the non-specific aspect of your writing. Some people, you know, they are writing something on something like economic burden of malaria, but you realize they will talk about malaria, come and tell us all the species that exist and all the other facts. So in actual fact, instead of becoming economic burden, it becomes rather what do you call it, malaria speciation. It becomes more microbiology. Yeah, they are information, but is it good for the work that you are actually doing? You are doing something on adherence to anti-malaria therapy. Yes, adherence to anti-malaria therapy. That is the work that you are interested in. But you start with malaria and tell us when it was discovered, and then you come to the prevalence, and then the prevalence you take us to America, you bring us to Canada. But in actual fact, your interest is not on those particular aspects, but the adherence. So you may even start your intro by telling us what adherence is, what has its importance, like a general thing on adherence, and then rather narrow into the adherence on the specific things that you are actually talking about. without telling us the species that exist with malaria and all those things. So what has the species got to do with the actual thing that you are actually doing? Yes, if you are project so that I can get you.
But is it not still necessary to cite those seemingly unnecessary sources if you know that you are coming to draw an inference? Let's take it that you are studying on environment that malaria is associated with, and you are mentioning Greece, Europe, and all that, and you are focusing on Africa, but you see that there's a similarities between Africa and those or among the countries.
The question is it for an introduction? Is it that relevant? It's about relevance. I'm not saying you cannot go there, but it has become fashionable for people to take us on a tour anytime they start writing. It is, if it is necessary, yes, but in most cases, in 99% of the cases, it is not necessary. It is because the articles they are reading, those people are mentioning those particular countries. But the person who is there, when he's writing, you won't mention Ghana. The guy in US who is writing about his thing on US is writing about it because he's in US and he's telling facts about US. You are in Ghana, you are writing about Ghana. So give us literature that have relevance to us. In most cases, no literature exists, but they won't bother. They rather be doing Americanization. I don't know whether that is a swag in town. So,
is it for the introduction that you don't need to go on a tour? For instance, when you are writing a thesis and you are doing a literature review.
If you are doing a literature review and even the locus does not permit those tours are not what you do. Everything about thesis writing and publication, we can describe it as having two sides, the left and the right. Now, the right theory says that every information that is needed for that story to be complete, as much as possible, you should put those information there. The left theory, any information that bears no relevance to the work that you are doing should not find itself there. And people make their mind that the bigger the thesis, the better. That is a fallacy. You put a lot of trash that have no relationship with the work you are doing so that you have volumes.
Yes, I have 152 pages.
You have 152 pages, but what percentage do you think was irrelevant? 99% of them were irrelevant information. So we are not interested in irrelevant. We are writing for scientific group. We are writing for a group that is reading that don't have time. You are getting it. So you don't waste their time with unnecessary things. So if your introduction is going to be 1 page and it's going to get all the facts that is needed for us to understand the thing, it's better than giving us a 4-page that have a lot of unnecessary things inside.
Those doing evidence-based practice, they need information. So in the hospital, sometimes the doctor wants to
be a little loud.
The doctor wants to read something brief to make a decision on the case.
Yeah.
And you give him a journal, 27 pages to scan through. You know, he won't have that.
He won't have time.
So evidence-based practice, for instance.
In fact, I wish that we as a school will push forward. You know, nowadays in certain places, there's chapter 2 that is a literature review. They don't consider that anymore. They don't do that anymore. Because they realize that most of the things that come in there are irrelevant. The actual idea is that as you go through that literature, you read wide and then you get a lot of understanding of the topic and you come out with the things that you are supposed to do. That is what the idea is, the empirical idea was. But now you've come to realize it's become irrelevant. In some cases, the whole chapter 1 involves everything, because in actual fact, the introduction and things that you are writing with what? Information from people, with people, literature that you are reviewing. So in certain places, the chapter 2 literature review has become what? Irrelevant, sorry. I think we could go that way. Because people just copy and paste things. We just copy and paste things, and it's because we want to make volumes, they just copy and paste things. But in actual fact, if we are writing well, I can show you some theses that exist that you can see there is no chapter 2, but they are fantastic theses. Everything is there. I wish I could get some handy. Yeah, let's look at these theses and see. This is a thesis of one of my colleagues. Okay, look at this thesis and see.
Doctor of philosophy.
Oh, if it's my colleague, you should know. Everything is showing at that place.
Your virtual audience.
For the virtual audience, my colleague. So if you look at even the what do you call it? If you look at this thing, so you see chapter 2 is what? Material methods.
And this is a PhD.
This is a PhD work. Chapter 2 is what? Material methods. Are you getting it? So you see the chapter 1, the introduction. He came and did the introduction. Are you getting it? Yeah, the introduction was there. He did the introduction. So they didn't bother to do chapter 2. Okay? It's becoming an irrelevant thing. And in most publications, when you are publishing, you will not ask you for the literature thing. So you see chapter 2 is like that. There is no chapter 2 being what? Literature review. You don't see anything like that. So he take his time and write out the chapter 1 very well. Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, things are changing. So we have to, and this is the new trend for most of the because in actual fact, when the thesis even goes for some of the thesis, when they even go for marking, the people don't even look at the examiners don't waste their time on the literature review. Yes. Your introduction that tell us exactly what you are about, what is the problem and all those things. Then after that, you just move out to tell us which method they are going to use, the results that you came out with, how relevant that results is, how do you interpret the outcome. Case closed. And that's the discussion. Yeah. So I can find you so many of these examples. also. But we hope as people get exposed to new things and new ideas. In actual fact, most people, almost everybody appreciate that the literature review is irrelevant. But for some reasons, we still continue to let people go through. Yeah, let the people read and write a very good introduction. And then from there, we can go on. But the funny thing is that for some of the people that advocate for the literature review, you look at the whole so-called literature review, the references in that literature review is like 5 or 4. Are you getting it? Right. So I've talked about looking at structures and those things. So what we're going to do is that we're going to take certain articles, read through it. As we are reading through those articles now, look at those structures and formats that we are looking out for, and then pick some of those things out. Then let's see how we can work up with it. Hello? Are you with me here?
Yes.
Okay, good. So today we are writing. So writing is reading. So we're going to read. Right. I hope the class doesn't become boring. Most often than not, when we come to reading, those of us who like reading very well, it becomes a little boring to us. So we're going to do more or less a little bit of criticism. Okay, so look at the topic. The topic is epidemiology of what? Obesity in Ghana. We're going to do a little review of this person's introduction. Then we'll do other introduction. So I'm going to read quickly. I'm going to read. As I read, look out for, I think our time. Ooh. Are we going to 11?
Yeah, 12.
No, people have to go out to things. Hello. And I have a deal today, so I have to facilitate the deal. So when are we ending? 11. Is 11 okay?
Yes.
Okay, alright, fine. 11 we should be able to finish through that. Okay, let's go through like 2 or 3 articles and then we see the things I'm talking about. Alright, so let's read quickly through this article. Alright, read along with me. Okay. Now, the prevalence of obesity is increasing at an alarming rate in many parts of the world. Full stop. You realize that this person is telling us that in many parts of the world, the prevalence of obesity is what? Increasing. You cannot say this unless you have certain facts. So the question is, says who? Yes, you can't say this without what? Without a reference. Are you getting me? Yeah, this is a statement of facts. It is not common knowledge. You should be able to tell us why you think that the prevalence of obesity is what? Is increasing. So your sources should be able to tell us that. So you cannot do this and put a full stop and go scot-free. You always ask you says who. So there's a full stop. Hello? Yeah, like somebody said the other time that most Ghanaian doctors have become what? Malaria doctors. And then you put full stop. The question was, are you dreaming about it or you know about it? Alright, good. So that is it. You cannot say this and then go scot-free without providing us what? Some references. Alright, so let's go. Start with let me just scroll up quickly. So he started with prevalence in the world. In the developed world, the prevalence of obesity is similarly high in men and women. So he's doing gender variation. Here he provides what? A reference. Have you seen the reference at the top there? Yeah, that is the one, because the number references, so the reference is 1. Good. So here he provides that as a reference. I'm sure his thinking is that this reference will cover for all the statement that he has made. But like I've told you before, there is nothing called cover reference. The references are not like the prayers you have been doing, cover prayers. Yeah. Yeah. Once there's a full stop, that is the limit of the reference. It doesn't go up, it doesn't come down. Okay? That is what it is. Yeah.
So we're supposed to, if the book ideas were from the same source,
he's supposed to cite both. Yeah. Yes. He's not supposed to leave us to be thinking whether it's from the same source or coming from a different place. So you can cite it as many as you want. Yes. Yeah. No, this one should have still be the same. If the same person is citing, depending on the referencing style anyway. But from what I look at, if it was the same person, it would have been still be one. Yeah.
Okay. If you think it is going to be repetitive, sometimes you can try to link the two ideas.
Yes.
With conjunctions.
Yes. Okay. Then let's move on to the next one because of time quickly. So, however, in countries with relatively low gross national product, the prevalence is about 1.5 to 2 times higher among women than what? Men. In a study among adolescents, BMI was found to be associated with what? Ethnicity, gender, and food habits, but no significant relationship was observed with socio-economic factors or physical activity. He is telling us in a study, but he refused to tell us which study it was. You find a lot of these mistakes in published articles, and you know this is one of the published articles. We are all prone to make this mistake. We've all done it before. If you look at papers before, all these things exist. Are you getting it? Yeah, but you cannot do these things without referencing. When you are telling us in a study and you refuse to tell us what a study is. After knowing this, if you do it, then you cannot be forgiven. Right. Let's move on. So in other studies, so he refused to tell us what the study is. Now he's talking about in other studies, the prevalence of obesity was higher among married women compared to unmarried women. Again, you can't use certain words and then give us only one word reference. He is talking about in other studies. So if you are talking about in other studies, you cannot give us only one reference and it becomes in other studies. So there are certain words that if you are using and you know you don't have the references for them, don't use them, use other words. Because for some of them, if you use them, we are not even expecting 2 references. We are expecting more. Yeah, if you are saying most researchers, we should be able to show us publications, a lot of publications of some of those things.
So what about in a related state?
Yeah, if you want to say in a related state, that is a 1. Yeah. Or in a study by this guy. So you could have phrased it in so many ways instead of putting choice of words are very important. You are writing.
Somebody will say in recent studies, and the person is
quoting 1990 and it's in recent studies.
Because where he copied from.
Because where he's copied from, the person has written it's recent at the time. Yeah, so you say in recent study, and then your reference, the age of the recent is 1999 or 1990. You get it? So you write and understand some of these things. That's why we are saying the do's and don'ts. We pick some of these things up, we are going up. So we are reviewing this article in actually to learn, not necessarily to criticize anybody, but we can actually do a critique. It is not criticizing, it is what? A critique. Yeah, and it's an academic exercise, a critique. Right, good. Let's just go on. So in academia, we don't criticize, we critique. Yeah. And people don't understand that. As soon as you critique, they take it personal because they think you are criticizing. No, it's the work that is there that we are doing an academic exercise on. Good. All right, let's continue. All right, let's continue. A review of a large-scale survey on diets, activity, and obesity showed that the speed of dietary and then activity pattern shift is great, resulting in major shift in obesity or on a worldwide basis, and that the burden of obesity is shifting towards what? The poor. Right. Good. This one, there's a reference for it. Okay. Yeah, even though he's saying, yeah, that means the person did the review. Yeah, so that means the person has published a review article on a large survey on those things. Yeah, so this is correct. Good. Now, let's look at the pattern of writing. Where he started from. Are you following?
Yes.
Are you following where he started from?
Yes.
He started from obesity. Okay? Becoming worldwide thing. Then he launched in and told us the gender variation in obesity at the developed and then the what? The non-developed. And then now he's moving in to tell us that what do you call it? BMI is associated with ethnicity and food and stuff. Then now he's coming to married and unmarried. That he's doing social demographic. Now he move on to do dietary and then activity patterns and then all of that. Good. Then now he move on and say calorie intake, the time spent in working activity and the time spent in traditional sedentary occupation are associated with what? Obesity. Again, he's telling us statements of facts, but he doesn't have any reference for that. Are you getting it? Right. So says who? So you cannot do these things. Now, so he gave us, suppose, a general view, and now he comes to in Ghana. The work by Albert Amwa and his team in urban and rural Accra showed that the overall crude prevalence of overweight and obesity was this and 14.9 respectively among adults aged 25 and above. Then he put a reference. That's okay. He even started with a reference. So the rates were higher in female than in male. This one is an orphan statement. Which rates? Which prevalence rate? He has mentioned a lot of things at the top there. So he is thinking that, yes, exchange rate. Yeah, he is thinking that the fact that he made this statement, all the other statements that are following, we will assume that it's coming from what? This guy. But as soon as there is a full stop, on this one, that is where the references would end. So this is an orphan statement. Right, the statement don't have any parents. Yeah.
He's asking whether we can write a reply to him.
Yeah, you can do an editorial comment and send to the editor, not to the person. You send it to the editor.
And you can also critique.
Yeah. Yeah, you can critique.
Yes, we get it.
That's a critique. It's another form of publication. So if you send it and then they agree with your critique, it will also be published. Yeah. So some of the commentaries you have been seeing, like I told you the last time, the commentaries are on papers that have already been published. Yeah. So most cases it's not necessarily, people don't focus more on the introduction and the write-up. The results aspects that the person has, the methodology and result, that's where people do the critique on. But we, for the academic exercise, in order to help us to know how to write, that's why we are going through some of these things. Okay. All right. So like I say again, it's an academic exercise. So let's go through it. You can find this in so many publications that are out there. So I'm telling you, the fact that something is published does not mean it's wholly right, or as Rest will say, it doesn't mean it's sacrosanct. Good. All right, let's continue. So let's continue from here. Again, he continues. Obesity increased with age up to this years. Again, that one too, there is no reference. There were more overweight and obese in the urban high-class resident compared with the low-class resident, and in urban than in rural suburb. Again, it's an orphan statement. Okay, we don't know which ones he's talking about, whether it's another publication or something. We should not assume for him where those. You don't allow your audience to assume what you are talking about. You provide that with the sources. Yeah, it was highest. So all these things you avoid when you are starting a statement. It was. What was? Okay, it looks like conversational, but that's not how you write. Are you getting it? Thinking that he has mentioned something at the top there, so it was. Once you put a full stop, that statement is ended. Hello?
So you should have used a conjunction.
Yeah, if you want to use a conjunction or you want to state whatever it was, whatever you are talking about that was.
It was found in the study. The person studied that.
Or the treasure was is.
In that case, the comma would.
Yeah, you can restructure it and say anything you want to say. That is how he wants it to come out is the problem. But as it stands now, it's an orphan statement. Okay, so subject with tertiary education had the highest, so he's just reporting almost everything in that person's work. But I think that's too much for an article. One article is too much. That is one. And then again, the way the things were stated, a lot of them did not come with what you call the reference. He thinking that when he put the reference at the last part here, it will do the covering for all the others. Like I tell you, there is no covering what reference because they are not prayers. I used to have a way of doing covering prayer when I was young. For food, yeah. When I get up at the beginning of the month, I pray that God should sanctify every food that I will eat throughout the whole month. So as soon as I get any food, I just eat it because it has already been covered by the blood of Jesus. Why do you say serious? Can God do that?
Yeah.
That's why.
But now I get it.
Okay, let's continue. Alright, let's continue. Alright. So the referencing thing is not like that. Okay, any statement, complete statement you make, they should give us a reference for that. Alright. Now body mass index, which is the ratio of the weight and the square of height, is an indicator of the nutritional status of the person, and BMI equal to or greater than this defines an obese individual. Yeah, he's now defining BMI. I am thinking it's a little bit late because you have used that thing at the top there for a long time. It's now that he's coming to define it. This statement could have come earlier so that we know what BMI is as he's trying to let us know, and then what its implication. Yeah, other than that, the statement is reference, everything would have been cool. Alright. Then he goes on waist hip circumference. I think the word is supposed to be waist to hip circumference. Or waist to hip circumference or something. Waist to hip circumference ratio. I think it's waist to hip ratio. That is what it is. That is technical. Don't bother yourself too much about it. Yeah. Okay. It's also used to describe obesity. So again here, no references were made. Hello. No references were made. Now, a ratio of this individual, again, you realize there is no reference made. Obesity, like underweight, is a form of malnutrition and constitutes a risk factor of many diseases like diabetes, hypertension, and other heart diseases. Again, no references. And then obesity is by far the most important risk factor for type 2 diabetes. That is where you give the reference, thinking it will cover for all the top. Yeah, over-reliance. So the whole introduction actually were only 5 articles. So over-reliance.
And we consume the 4 and the
5 so much. Okay, so that is one of the things you should avoid. So like we are saying, if we put this one in any of the plagiarism software, you realize that it will give us a very high percentage. Like Viper is free, so I like mentioning it. Turn it in, and then plagiarism detect and those things. You put it to give you a very high percentage. And in this day and age, if you send some of these articles for publication, they will tell you that highlight those places and tell you it's a plagiarized work.
Most of this is to acquiring anything.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. All right. So this is an introduction. But at the end of the introduction, what does that communicate to you? The topic. Don't forget the topic we were talking about. What do you call it? We're talking about what? The epidemiology of obesity in Ghana. You realize that you don't really get what the person was actually talking about, and actually what the person wanted to do. Are you getting it? So he's telling us something. What actually does he want to do? Apart from the topic that we know as epidemiology, we didn't hear much about what he wants to do. So these things, you can avoid them by doing things differently. Okay? Yeah, you can do things differently. So we're going to go through another article. Time.
Before we go on,
time is chasing us so much. Yeah.
What different thing could that person have done?
Yeah. I think after reading the next, what do you call it? The different thing that person could have done will come out. Yeah. Let's see another article that we could use, and then review the article, and then see, I think, some of the do's and don'ts, whether they appear here. So, okay, this is another article. So look at it. The title, it might not be your area, but you can still understand some of the words.
Analysis.
Yeah. Okay, so it's analysis of what? Heterogenic and then anthropometric profile of normotensive and hypertensive Ghanaians in the Kumasi metropolis. Okay, right. So you may not understand heterogenic, you may not understand anthropometric. Yeah, anthropometric is the BMI, the waist circumference, and the things we were talking about that you saw in the other article. So it's a related paper. But the heterogenic is the lipids. You know, when you say cholesterol, you heard of cholesterol before? Yes, that's why you know. And those are the heterogenic. They cause what we call atherosclerosis, which simply means that fats will be deposited into your veins. And when there's a lot of fats in your veins, it means that they need a lot of tension to push the blood. That leads to hypertension. Okay, so basically that is what we are looking at.
Allow me to explain this.
As to allow you to explain them. The way you confuse them. All right, let's continue. The economists among us are baffling what those big words may mean. All right, so we are not interested in the subject. We are interested in the act of writing. So let's just go through. Whether you are writing an economic paper or construction paper or whatever, these things are supposed to be observed. The things we have gone through are supposed to be observed. So let's go through the same thing and then let's see. All right, so this one starts like this. Let me just push this thing the bottom a little, so that we get it a little bigger. So this one, the introduction starts like this. Cardiovascular disease account for approximately 30% of all deaths, and there is a reference. Okay, right. High blood pressure and its sequelae are strongly associated with overall cardiovascular risk and are a major health concern the world over. There are two references to that. Okay, good. Even though detection is said to be limited in Africa, the prevalence of hypertension is increasing rapidly. There's another reference to that.
Please, why is it two referencing? Does it mean the same people?
The same idea can come from different. There's the idea. It's not necessarily the word in you. We are not here when we're playing the first tape. It's paraphrased. We will come to paraphrasing proper when we move out from here, when we know the structure. Now, they are telling us that even though you reference the person, you cannot take the person's words. So what a person has written, you read it, yes, so the trash that I've done, you read the trash, then try and write it in your own words. So if the same related idea come from 2 different or 3 people, I can reference those people. I credit them that they have the idea, but the words are mine. Hello, even though certain words cannot be changed. Right. Good. So I want you to look at the structure. There is an open statement about cardiovascular disease. Then high blood pressure, we are saying it's what? The world over. The next statement is what? Narrowing into what? Africa. So there is some flow. Are you getting it? Yeah, there is some flow. Now, major health budgetary in sub-Saharan Africa. So we are even moved from what? Africa to sub-Saharan Africa. Yeah. Sub-Saharan African countries are attributable to infectious disease with inadequate attention to control and treatment of the upsurge of chronic non-communicable disease like hypertension. So that one today are what? 2 different references. Good. Then we'll move on. So realize every statement that is coming out, it is duly what? Reference. Now, evidence from previous works on the major causes of morbidity and mortality points to a rapid epidemiological transition from solely communicable to a double burden of what? Infection and chronic disease among the Ghanaian what? Population. So we have right home. Are you getting it? So there's some flow. a world view down to Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, and now we are in what? We are in Ghana.
So,
but the statements are not boring.
Is that the same thing that somebody was mentioning, US, Canada?
Yes.
Canada,
This is the same thing that somebody was mentioning, US and Canada and those things. So you can synthesize the information out there. I get it and put it in your own words for it to come. So like the statement of that the other guy was making, that in the well-developed countries. So if you are finding things in different countries that you know they are developed, are getting it from different publications, you can now come and synthesize the information from that place and say in the developed world. If you are finding different information from Africa and then they are pointing to a certain particular you can synthesize the information, and instead of saying in Ethiopia, in Gambia, in Sierra Leone, in what, and say in Africa, this is the picture. I hope you are getting me. Yes. So, for example, if you are in Ghana and you want to talk about the prevalence of a certain particular disease, and you look at one person's document, he says that the prevalence of, let's say, malaria is, let's say, 20%. Another person says that he got 10%. Another person says he got what? 14%. Another person says he got what? 30%. You can synthesize that information and then now write that the prevalence of malaria in Ghana ranges from 10 to what? 40. And cite all the 4 people or 5 people that you have mentioned. That means you have synthesized that information and you are using it to what? To communicate. Hello?
Hi.
Good. Let's continue. All right. So we are home now. Among the list of non-communicable diseases plaguing the general Ghanaian population, hypertension is said to be what? The most what? Prevalent. And here you have the references from 7, 8, and 9. 9, that is 3 references that you have here. Okay.
From the comma.
Yeah, this one is different from the comma. The comma means that's the only 2, but this one they range, so you realize. But this you don't need to bother yourself about because that is the referencing style of the journal. Yeah, it's the referencing style of the journal that just take care of that. So that one it will vary from one journal to the other. Okay. All right. Let's just go back a little and then complete the one we are doing. Then we'll move. Now, attributable factors for this change in disease burden trends in the population are, among others, increasing life expectancy and lifestyle modification brought about by urbanization, leading to a surge in the prevalence of contributing factors such as obesity, physical inactivity, stress, unhealthy diet, dyslipidemia, etc., etc. And you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4 references there. Now, what it means is that in one article, you may find out that the factor that the person stated was what? Physical inactivity. In another article, it may be dyslipidemia. In this article, it may be dyslipidemia and then what? Obesity. In this article, it may be what? Unhealthy diet. In the other article, it may be what? Urbanization. So like I told you about synthesizing the facts. So you want to write on what? The factors that are causing something. Hello? Yeah, if you look at the statement down there, it is what? Attributable factors for this change in what? Disease burden. Are you getting it? Now, for the attributable factor in the change in disease, but in this case, the non-communicable disease change from infectious to non-communicable. There are a lot of people who have written on that, and each of them have come out with their factors. So you don't need to be mentioning everybody and his factor, but you put them together and then you cite all of them. So you see, the facts have been synthesized. So the facts here are what? The factors that are causing the actual hypertension thing, or obesity and hypertension thing, the factors that are causing it. So factors causing that, you may find different people presenting different factors. So you put all of them together and then you write something out of it and then you cite. So you realize that when you go to those articles, you will find all the other things that have been done here in the articles. Hello?
Hi.
Good. Now, this one sounds boring, but that is not anybody's making. That is the referencing style I hate. But that is what the journal was using. So, Dauda, Jamal, that is how he presents his. Are you getting it? And then Berichum et al. Then you bring the number again. Reported that. So this is one person reporting that. Are you getting it? One particular publication. That is, it could be Dauda et al. If you are using the reference that I prefer, it could be Dauda et al. Reported that most Ghanaian women are willing to reduce their obesity size in order to reduce the risk of obesity-linked illnesses. However, due to limited knowledge and awareness of obesity-related diseases, then there is a reference there. Look at this side to the way it was done. However, due to obesity-related, I'm taking it again. Okay, hello. Yeah. Reports that most Ghanaian women are willing to reduce their body size in order to reduce the risk of obesity-linked diseases. However, due to limited knowledge and awareness of obesity-related disease, then there is a citation there. The cultural norms equating certain body images, in particular overweight and obesity, as a reflection of good living, wealth and prosperity is dominant among the Ghanaian general population. There is also another reference. So this one is just like the other one. There are two contradictions too. Why, even though people want to reduce their body image to cut down risk, but the things that are fighting against, there are two things coming from two different writers. But I see the way it was stated. It was stated without a full stop, but a reference was inserted in there, the 13. He could have leaved it and then come and put the 2 here. But the way he did it makes you see the parts that is coming from the individual articles. That is also another nice way of writing. Hello? Hi. And again, there is something that he's doing. Sometimes when people are writing, they only focus on the things that goes for the things that they are writing. But if you present a counter and then you are able to refute it, it gives you more authority. Anybody that is reading the work knows that you understand the ramification of the work. So, okay, we are talking about obesity being epidemic and all right. But the other has reported that Ghanaian women are willing to reduce their weight. So then why should that become a problem? That means, why should obesity become a problem? So even though that particular fact exists, the fact that when you are big, they think you are you are wealthy. Are you getting it? And the fact that most people also lack awareness and then knowledge on it, that is fueling the thing. I hope you are getting it. So when you present both sides of the argument, anybody that is reading knows that this guy knows the topic that is writing. You are writing with authority. Hello? Good. Let's then move on. Let's move on. Okay. Now, there exists a direct relationship between such body images, adiposity, and dyslipidemia. Earlier studies have reported high levels of dyslipidemia among hypertensive population in Kumasi. So you see, all along, he was talking about obesity. He started with obesity. That statement at the top here is trying to link the other factor, which is the dyslipidemia. And don't forget, the topic is anthropometry, which is the obesity aspect, and then atherogenic, which is the dyslipidemia aspects. So he's finding a link between the two, that there is a link between body images, that is big for body images, and then obesity, and then dyslipidemia. Adiposity is the same as becoming obese. Adipose tissue. Do you remember adipose tissue? Yes. That fats.
Obesity.
Yeah. Adiposity. Right. You see obesity, okay, you talk about adiposity. All right, good. It's a bit technical. So he's able to link that and even find a work. He's linked that and even find a work that is done in even in Kumasi. So you see, he's narrowing in straight away to where he's doing the work. Now, poor control of blood pressure has been implicated in the development of complications leading to prime target organ damage like the hearts among Ghanaian hypertensive group. Now, this statement is a carefully inserted one because the work actually that he's doing, he measured the prime target organ damage. So he's giving you a reason why he is doing that. I hope you are getting me. He's setting the basis, yes, for the work that he's doing. Why he is measuring the prime organs of people, whether they are damaged or not. And this is hypertensive patients you are dealing with. So everything you are seeing there have relevance to the work that he is doing. Okay, let's continue. And they are, as for the referencing, they are duly referenced, so we don't need to go there. Now, so here, this statement from here, there exists the relationship between blah 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 and the prime organ damage up to this place. The person is trying to make a case for the work that he is doing. He is trying to justify the work that he is doing. Why he wants to do the work he is doing. I hope you are getting me. In the other one, we didn't see any of those things. Right. Let's move on. To resolve the different predictive thresholds of measured parameters for criteria definition of the clusters of risk factors for cardiovascular disease, the general consensus is that component cutoff should be ethnic specific, adjusted to suit usage in different ethnic group. This is also one part of the work that a person is also doing. He is going to look out for the what? The cutoffs. So he is telling you why there is the need to do what? The cutoff. And the need to do the cutoff is that it should be what? Ethnic based. That means every ethnic group should be able to what? To do his own. So if he is also doing his in a certain particular ethnic group, then it is what? Justified. Hello? Good. Let's move on then. So the person tried to write this. Even though when you are writing, you try to limit the I person. You don't write I. The personal pronouns, you limit it. But this, because most of it when you sound like that, you sound a little bit arrogant. Yeah. So this is we. So we, and he brings the particular paper he's talking about. So it means that a group of people that are presenting this particular people, they have done earlier studies. So they can refer to themselves and say we. Are you getting it? And Frank et al., then the reference come, have reported different. Yes.
If they have not done any earlier research, how would you have different reference to that?
They cannot say it is them. They would have, if it was somebody's work, like they did Frank et al., they could have just said Frank et al. And Della et al. Are you getting it? But the first work they are referring to is their own work. So they say we and Frank et al., which is also another publication. Are you getting it? Yes. They have reported population-specific adiposity cutoff points for increased health risk, diabetes, for increased health risk and diabetes respectively among South population in what? Kumasi. So they respectively mean that their work was in what? Adiposity, and then Frank's work was in what? The diabetes. Now the last part. For every work that you read, if it's a publication, the last part you'll be able to tell us what a person wants to do. That is the objective for doing the work. If it is not a publication, it's a thesis where that one is titled objectives, and then you bring the specific objectives in that. Right. So this study sought to compare the association between different lifestyle practices, adiposity indices, atherogenic dyslipidemic parameters, and hypertension, as well as the predictive implications for levels of these parameters in target cardiac organ damage among an urban Ghanaian hypertensive population, and as well determine the optimal threshold points and the discriminative power of these parameters. So you now realize that all the things he was putting in there, they were actually what? Intentional. He was justifying the work that he wants to do. So you realize that there is chronology in the things he presented. Everything that needs to be referenced was referenced. Are you getting it? And consider the other one where we're having 5 references for a whole introduction. For this one, how many references do we have in the introduction? No, I think it's less. Let's see. The last reference came here, I think 21. Are you getting it? Yes. Meanwhile, they are almost the same size in number. So this one, when you read this article, you know that a person has read. he understands what he is doing. And this is the way we want you to write. Hello? This is the way we want you to write. We don't want to see the cut and paste. The cut and paste plenty. Now, even the cut and paste, you have moved beyond the cut and paste. Now you use cut and dump. Doing cut and dump. And when you read, you can't see the head and tail of the thing. So you can see, you can follow a story and then end the story and be able to know that this is what a person is doing. It's because the time is running so fast. Okay. Other than that, we would have gone through other articles, and intentionally I have picked BSc articles because most often than not the tendency is that because people cannot help students to write the right thing, they just try to reduce the the essence and the important in what they say. Oh, as for this one it's just BSc, as for this one it's just BSc. Please, writing a thesis work, whether it is a PhD, BSc, diploma or certificate, there is a standard way of doing it. And because it is a BSc, does not permit you to do something wrong. Just like the other courses they are learning, nursing, whatever is there. We can't say because it's BSc, we're teaching them wrong way of typing blood. Are you getting me? Yeah. So this is also another part of the course. So the writing must be must be done. Whether it's a BSc, whether it's a certificate, it's a way to write. Let's teach them the way they should grow, so that when they grow, they will not depart from it.
Proverbs chapter.
All right. So what we'll do is that we'll put this lecture on hold now. The next time that we'll continue the lecture, we'll review the other articles. Again, I know this is a little technical writing, so we'll bring it down to some of the very common write-ups that have been done, and then you see how that one can also be done.